Question everything, for the truth should not be televised. And that's for sure. So with that, I already posted a video about what happened with, one of our barrels that's dealing with reparations and how the feds came down on them on that. And also, share the video about Dr. Claude Anderson, our beautiful elder, talking about reparations and our plight when it comes to us being in the position that we're in, being crushed under everybody economic foundation and economic stability based off of the state, federal government, United States government, giving them an economic floor, at the same time denying us one. Well, we at this point as Aboriginal Negroes of America got to be unapologetically for our people, for ourselves. We cannot have no illusion of inclusion when it comes to these coalitions like the black and brown community and all this other and that and the third. We never asked for a black and brown community. We just wanted a black community that dealt with our people in the plight that we was under based off of what has happened to us for crimes against humanity under this United States government, the greatest criminal empire the world has ever seen, who haven't been brought to justice based off of the crimes that it has done and atrocities that it has done in the form of Holocaust massacres and genocides to the Aboriginal Negroes of America, who has a foundation of POW, aka enslavement, here in America. No other race is on that level other than us. No other race is dealing on this level when it comes to dealing with this system but us. And at this point, we got to be unapologetically black, unapologetically Aboriginal Negroes of America. We cannot have any type of feeling of guilt for us wanting justice. When it comes time for them to come through our community with the whoop, 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 they don't care about how you feel when it comes to pushing their laws on you. So you can't care about how they feel about pushing those same laws back on them in the sense of justice, because we are owed for crimes against humanity. Our people are tired of living in ghetto slums and hoods, frustrated with the fact of the matter that we don't have no businesses of our own. We don't have nothing that represent us in our community to acknowledge that we are a nation of people that can provide for its own nation. And this is being done systematically on purpose throughout the years of us dealing. And it's time for us to call it for what it is. Because we see now with the immigration process happening today that they are not hurting for any type of money or funding when it comes to anybody that don't look like us. They only hurt for money when it comes to people that look like us. In other words, when it comes to our own people. And we got to acknowledge that truth. Because see, we're not competing with all the other nations, the other races here. Because they all getting a hand up. Just like Martin Luther King said back in the day when he was marching, he said the federal government was giving out land all throughout the Midwest and West to European peasants coming into the United States of America at that time. You can find that speech and look it up for yourself. At the same time, he said they was telling us to pull ourselves up by the bootstraps. In other words, when Martin Luther King was marching and talking, they was telling us the same thing then. They ain't gonna do nothing solely for black folks. At the same time, was doing everything for everybody else coming into the country. Well, here we are again. And we're sitting in 2024, and they still owe us every since 40 acres and a mule. Every generation of our people been asking for justice, and these people been giving us their middle finger. Let's just call it what it is. This is not some kumbaya love and basketball type of relationship that we have with this system, nor do we have with the colonizers. They know exactly what position that they're keeping us in and perpetually holding us back from. They know it. The key is, do you know it? Do you understand what's going on? And this is why Dr. Claude Anderson is trying to explain it to you, because at the end of the day, if you don't acknowledge what is happening to our people that is being done systematically on purpose, our children, our grandbabies are the ones who are going to suffer. We cannot sit here and say to ourselves that we're loving our children and not willing to deal with the fact of the matter that we in dire need for economic growth in our communities. We cannot sit back and say that we're looking for our generations to go into the future if we're not going to stabilize a proper future for them to go into. This is just the reality. And it's not anybody in a sense of guilt on yourself when it comes to pushing your truth. You have the right to push your truth. You had the right to speak your narrative. You have the right to ask for justice for wrongs that has been done to you. That's just the reality. We cannot keep trying to pretend that things are all better and okay. It's not. The majority of us right now are watching family members going in and out of mass incarceration right now as we speak. Loved ones, friends, you name it. All of us got somebody that experienced that reality. And why is that? Because of lack of economics, lack of resources in our community. And this is what's happening. You cannot grow up to go ask and beg other nations for jobs that when you on the federal census of ethnic hate crimes sitting there as #1 on the list to be hated in America and not getting a bill passed for protection against hate crimes and think you're going to go out and get jobs from other nations to hire you when you already sitting on top of being hated, on top of the mountain of being hated. You got to start asking yourself real questions. What am I going to do under these circumstances? How can I change these things for my babies and my grandbabies to come? Because at the end of the day, the system, they know what they're doing. The Democratic Party, the Republican Party, they all know the numbers. They all know what is happening. Even Trump told you that. What do we have to lose for voting for him? Because he already see what type of dire need that we are in and circumstances that we are under and been under. Not giving him a pass, but at least he acknowledged what's going on. So with that stated, I'm not advocating for nobody, but I'm still saying one thing. I'm advocating for us. And what is that? Justice, reparations, money in the land that they owe us back, that we have lost over time based off of what has been done to us systematically by the pen. Not to mention the money off the backs of our forefathers, ancestors, grandparents, you name it, that has toiled for years and never got paid, while the colonizers made generational wealth off of that and we made generational poverty. This is why we're struggling. Not because we're not trying harder, not because we're not educating ourselves, not because we're not going to college, not because we're not going to trade schools. It's because we've been pushed into a corner, pushed into a wall systematically by the pen. Why? Because they say the pen is mightier than the sword. So if I can pass bills, move resources and every other thing away from the Aboriginal Negroes, then I can capitalize on that by them trying to do survival work. And guess what happens out of that? All sorts of craziness as well as mass incarceration. It's just a reality. I only can say so much because they watch you 100% on us talking about our issues here in the form of justice. They don't want to see us get justice. Nobody do. That's why nobody is advocating for us to get what is just owed to us. And that's what? Reparations for crime against humanity. Now, do all nations know that we are under crimes against humanity that has happened to our people? Yes. Do all nations know that we haven't been liberated from the colonizers' children in the form of what liberation means, to separate from your oppressors, separate from your Holocaust, and separate from your genocide and massacres? Have we done that? No. So we haven't been liberated. They know that as well. See, the key is, do you know it? See, we're being trained, programmed, and taught by their schools, institutions, school curriculums, religious unions, universities. All that stuff is not controlled by us. We control nothing. Ever since integration, we lost everything that we had in segregation. I even showed you that in the video on my other platform before they took it down. So we got to start not caring about how other people feel about us getting justice. Justice is justice. If you're not for us getting justice, it states a lot about who you are and what your nation is and what your nation is about when it comes to us. Well, we need to know. We need to know so that we can know who are in our face, smiling in our face, but turning around and yanking us all up in the back, if you know what I mean. So with that stated, let's be unapologetically black. Let's be unapologetically Aboriginal Negro. And let's get out there, talk to the churches, talk to the community leaders, talk to the grassroots movements, and let's get this reparations popping, because we need it like yesterday. And with that, I just don't get it. I just don't understand it. But that is the question. You let me know. Peace, peace.